Well, we've got more big storms today, not just around the Great Lakes, but as we head into tomorrow, these storms will move further to the east. And I do want to talk about the big change that's ahead in the weather pattern. Let's start with this upper level chart. We'll jump back to the severe weather outlook in just a moment, but this right here is the cold pool of air that's causing all this severe weather. We're going to have a cold front that's going to push pretty far to the south as we head toward Thursday and Friday, and then some more cool weather for the northeast. Live it up while you can. Summer is on the way. Okay, we're going to see a huge ridge start to build across the central and eastern United States as we head toward Friday and Saturday. This means really warm weather. In fact, if you've been waiting for summer in the Northeast or the Great Lakes, I don't know. I don't pick sides on weather, but if you're hoping for warm weather, this is a good sign for you. If not, unfortunately, it's going to get really hot. Across the west, though, we've got this trough swinging in this upper cold pool. This is going to lead to some unsettled weather, cooler conditions, some rain, maybe even some high mountain snows. But this, I'm just going to call it massive upper level highs taking over as we head into Sunday and Monday. On the western side of this good southwest flow, it's going to get hot, basically from this line east. Underneath this, I mean, this is when you look at the height map, this is what we're seeing here. This is a measure of how thick the atmosphere is. The thicker it is, the more compression you get. In response to heating, it also expands, so it really goes twofold. But either way, a thicker atmosphere means a hotter setup, and that's what we're looking at heading into Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. So huge changes on the way. Big changes on the way, too, around the Great Lakes today. From Michigan south into Indiana, Illinois, big storms firing up. This is the simulated satellite heading into this afternoon, the main risk area here. And then as we move into tomorrow, more showers and storms will form a little bit further to the east. We're also going to watch storms drop to the south across Kentucky, Tennessee. Also later tonight into early Thursday morning, down into parts of Mississippi. These will be weakening as they drop to the south, but along that frontal boundary, heading into Thursday afternoon, Thursday evening, more big storms get going from North Carolina up and down the eastern seaboard. So this could be a widespread severe weather outbreak. A lot of moisture in the atmosphere, too. We've talked about this for the last couple of days across the central and eastern United States. I mean, look at this. It is absolutely super, super humid. Some relief, though, on Friday. Look at this. Dew points dropping back into the 50s across the Ohio Valley as some drier air tries to punch in. I mean, look, it even tries to at least feel a little bit more manageable into North Georgia and South Carolina with dew points dropping into the 50s. So that's definitely more tolerant than dew points close to 70. Let's talk about the severe risk today. This is significant tornado parameter, the most spin in the atmosphere, the most low-level wind shear, likely here from Illinois, Indiana, into parts of southern Michigan. You know, I was reading some of the Storm Prediction Center's wording in their forecast discussion today, and they're talking about the idea that there's some inconsistencies in the model runs. It's why they're leaving the tornado chances where they are when we look at the severe weather outlook. We'll start here with the overall outlook. In an enhanced area, that's a 3 out of 5 from southern Michigan all the way down into southern parts of, and really southeast parts of Missouri, with a slight risk. That's a 2 out of 5 stretching all the way back to the Red River and then north of that into central Michigan and then all areas in between. The tornado risk highest across southern Michigan, eastern parts of Illinois and Indiana too, and then parts of northwest Ohio. Again, the question would be, do you elevate this here? There's just some inconsistencies in the models, but your wind shear is definitely the highest across this region. And of course, the severe weather stretches further back to the south and west as well. Let's look at the future radar, time some of these storms out. We'll start off across the northern plains and work our way kind of around the country. Now, today there could even be a few strong storms, nothing like what we've seen lately across parts of Minnesota and Iowa. These drop off to the south and east as we head through today. Hot, though, across Nebraska and Kansas. Temperatures getting into the 90s and maybe even 100s again with quite a bit of sunshine. Storms dropping to the south across Arkansas as we head through the overnight. Some of these could get strong to severe with damaging winds possible. Those drop into Tennessee as well through the overnight. So a loud night possible from Memphis to Jackson, Tennessee, and then dropping south. And then, through Little Rock, we could see some storms through the overnight as well. These aren't going to be as strong as what we see maybe earlier in the evening. Once you get past midnight, you just lose that instability. But again, another hot day across Texas. This is a little bit different look of temperatures. This is the GFS Temperatures not quite as hot further to the north in Kansas as the model I showed you last, but still, nonetheless, we're talking about well into the 80s here with 90s and 100s across Texas. Here comes that spin, that low pressure, if you will, swinging through northern parts of Illinois. This curling of thunderstorms that are showing up on this is the 3K NAM. I think that's interesting. I think you're going to have to watch this area for any type of not just severe thunderstorms, hail, but also tornadoes heading through the afternoon and evening hours with all of this spin in the atmosphere. If you can get a good, strong supercell, it's conceivable you could see some tornadoes through here. All right, heading into the overnight, that severe threat starts to shift a little bit further to the south, also to the east through Ohio. We lose the threat, at least the major threat through the overnight. More heavy rain, though, moving back into Ohio. Not as heavy as what we've seen lately across West Virginia, but more unneeded rain here, and then big storms firing as we head into the afternoon much further to the east, and things calming down now around the Great Lakes. And there's a look at your temperatures for today. Further to the south, here goes that cluster of storms through the Midwest, and then dropping through the Tennessee Valley overnight tonight, moving toward the Appalachians, falling apart as it does so, but some showers will likely make it into West Virginia and Virginia late tonight, also into parts of North Carolina. But I think once you get east of the mountains, especially heading into Thursday afternoon and evening, the Piedmont, the coastal plain of Virginia, North Carolina, north towards the Delmarva, this is where the big storms will get going into the afternoon and evening hours. Storm Prediction Center watching this region. This is for tomorrow from North Carolina north all the way to Canada. So a widespread severe risk further to the east. This pushes south. I want you to look at this, how far that front shifts all the way down into central Mississippi. So I think, again, that brings some cooler air into parts of North Georgia, South Carolina, and North Carolina. At the very least, lower dew points. And it's going to feel good after temperatures end up topping out today in the mid-90s. Another hot day across the coastal plain tomorrow, but notice how that relatively cooler air starts to build in. It's not that much cooler, though. We're talking about 70s and 80s, but look at the heat starting to build. I mean, this is like what? These are touched numbers, by the way. These are not modeled forecast numbers. I showed you that huge ridge that's going to start to develop as we head toward Monday and Tuesday. So we're starting to see these numbers being reflected in forecasts from the National Weather Service. Forecast highs on Sunday, a lot of 90s out there. And then heading into Monday, more 90s. A little bit further to the north and east with these temperatures while we're here and looking at these forecast highs. I'm going to move north towards the Ohio Valley, just shifting further north. I mean, even Chicago, forecasted highs heading into Monday, and as far north as Detroit, all the way up to Gaylord, we're talking about 90s. This is hot. Hot weather's moving in, guys. All right, to the north and east we go. We look at the severe weather risk here, not really up into New England today, Wednesday. We hold off until Thursday with the major risk, at least compared to what this area has seen lately. I would call it a major risk. These big storms start going. They move out of Ontario, off of Lake Erie and Ontario into the afternoon. I don't know about so much Lake Erie, but definitely east of Lake Ontario, heading toward 3, 4 o'clock. So upstate New York, all the way down the Hudson Valley toward parts of New Jersey. These storms could get pretty strong moving through the Delmarva, heading into the afternoon Thursday, damaging winds, hail, an isolated tornado possible. The tornado risk across this region, I'm going to go back to the Storm Prediction Center. It's not zero, but there is a risk. I mean, there it is, right? So it's on the table. Very low, but there. And then as we move into the evening hours, these storms push off to the east, and then we're left with just a few showers across Maine. Temperatures today, relatively cool, but tomorrow we heat up ahead of that front. There comes your instability with numbers climbing close to 90. These are modeled forecast numbers. I don't know that we quite get this hot. If you look at the actual forecast numbers, well, actually, they're pretty high. I'm surprised. Okay, so they're going with these modeled numbers. So, yeah. All right, hot weather on the way ahead of this front, and then a bit of a break, and then more hot weather for the northeast. Across the west, huge dome of high pressure, and the upper levels keeping things really hot out here. The only relief would be what's showing up as we develop our huge ridge across the east would be this. Check it out. Snow into the Cascades and the northern Rockies possible as we move toward the first day of summer. This has been showing up for several days now on the GFS and the other models, so some cooler weather for the northern Rockies and the northwest U.S., but no relief of the heat across the southwest. Even the Central Valley climbing into the triple digits, well into the triple digits too with that, and into the southwest. Dangerous heat across the Great Basin. All right, stay safe, guys. Stay weather aware today, especially if you're in the severe weather risk areas. See you next time.